Hello and welcome into Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and I have some breaking news right here. The international break is over and that is final. Finally, club football return. Barcelona against Sevilla, live from the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, will return this weekend on Saturday as La Liga once again takes centre stage as we draw towards, as always, guys, the business end coming to you courtesy today of the OneFootball app, which you can always find in the description down below. Nearly 90% of users on the OneFootball app believe that Barcelona will win tomorrow, and the OneFootball app, of course, great for stats, in-game commentary, and everything you need to do with La Liga and to do with Barcelona. And in my own poll on my community section, a lot of you guys, as always, in confident mood, 69% of you currently believe that we'll win by 2+ goals tomorrow away at Sevilla. A lot of you, though, of course, want to know about the lineup. Is Messi going to play or isn't he? That is a big question that we will be addressing, and everything else in this preview video. But like I say, guys, finally that international break has come to an end. Club football is well and truly back now, and to be honest, the international break was a period that gave us more questions than answers, and in some ways it gave us more problems than others. You know, we had a few injury concerns, Messi, Ter Stegen, there was a few issues with both of those players during the international break, but it's Saturday, 8:45 local time in the evening, Barca will return to action against Sevilla in what's expected to be a pretty big test for us in La Liga as we try to get our hands on the title as early as we possibly can. Here's the time right around the world, as always, guys, where you are. And coming into this game, of course, we are currently top of the league by some distance clear currently of Atletico Madrid. Sevilla, meanwhile, are in 6th position. They're 2 points off Villarreal in 5th. And to be honest, I think both teams coming into this game could be forgiven for having their mind on the Champions League midweek fixtures, which are coming thick and fast. Sevilla will take place in their first ever Champions League quarter-final on Tuesday. They'll be at home against Bayern Munich, and likewise, given our strong position in the league, given that we are clear at the top, we wouldn't be really too concerned to really look at the game on Wednesday against Roma in the Champions League, which is a really big one for us. We want to go there, we want to win that, we want to continue in the Champions League, so for us, that's a really good game as well. But obviously, even with both teams thinking about the Champions League, this is still a big test. It's a big test for us. Going to the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan is never ever an easy place to go, and Sevilla can often turn up there in front of their own fans on the big occasion, and we have to be wary of that. We should expect the test tomorrow. We should expect it to be tough. But what I will say is, under both Eduardo Berizzo and also now with Montella, Sevilla have been incredibly inconsistent this season. One week they're fantastic, like you saw at Old Trafford against Man United when they beat them to progress in the Champions League, but at the same time they've been hammered this season by their rivals Real Betis, by Eibar, and at some points this season they've been really low indeed. And even though they've been usually brilliant at home, this season only the 6th best home record in the league for Sevilla, and that is quite significantly lower than they would expect at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, where their fans are so close to the pitch. It's such a fantastic atmosphere there, but they haven't really generated that kind of good form this season under both their coaches. But like I say, when they're on form, they are on form, and we will need to be wary of them. The other thing, though, that I will say, guys, is basically that obviously we want to go into tomorrow's game and we want to win. That is always the case. Every single game that we play with Barcelona, we have the attitude that we want to go out there, we want to play well, we want to win the game. No doubt about that whatsoever, and we know it's not going to be easy. But we do, of course, want to remain unbeaten this season. If we could go the entire season without losing and win the league and make history, that would be incredible. But we don't want to be risking our players just for records. We want the trophies. That's the priority. The records can come with that, but it's not a necessity. We don't want to be risking the likes of Lionel Messi just for the sake of a few records. That, for me, is really important. And that brings me on to a bit of an injury update, which centres around Lionel Messi, who is in the squad, guys. He is in the squad to face Sevilla tomorrow. We're going to come on to the full squad very shortly indeed. But basically, a bit of an overview on Messi. He missed both of Argentina's friendlies in the week in the international break. Didn't play in either of them as a precaution. He has trained successfully over the past few days, and he's also been tested by the Barcelona medical team just to make sure that everything is okay with Messi. But he has been training fine, which is why he's been included in the squad for tomorrow's game. But Valverde was asked in his press conference earlier on how Messi Messi was feeling, was there any problems, and Valverde did confirm that he was suffering with a very slight knock. If that is the case, and if there is any doubt whatsoever over the fitness of Lionel Messi, he shouldn't be playing from the start. For me, there's no doubt in my mind that even though this is a tough game, obviously we want to play Messi, but we do not want to risk this guy under any circumstances. An injury to Messi could all but end our season, and it might sound like I'm exaggerating here, but we know how much goes through Messi, and that's why we've got to be so careful with him. Don't overwork him, don't risk him if we don't need to. I personally think, and I'm going to come on to it in my lineup prediction as we go on with the video, but I'm not 100% sure he'll start tomorrow. As for Sergio Busquets, he is not in the squad for Sevilla, but that was never really the plan for Busquets. The plan was always to have him in the squad for that big Roma game on Wednesday night, and Valverde did confirm today in his press conference that he does expect Sergio Busquets to return to fitness and be included to face Roma in the Champions League, which is fantastic news. And here we do have the official Barcelona squad, and I have to say, it's a very interesting squad indeed, simply because Ter Stegen is fit, he's fine, he did miss Germany's second friendly, but he's going to be okay for this one. Nelson Semedo returns to the squad, great to see him back. Gerard Piqué is there, Rakitic, also a surprise inclusion for Denis Suarez, who could finally get his chance tomorrow. He returns also from injury. Andres Iniesta, Suarez returns from suspension, Messi is there, Dembele, Silas and Coutinho, Paulinho, Alcácer, Alba, Roberto, Gomez, Umtiti, and also Thomas Vermaelen. So there are a few exclusions there, the likes of Alex Vidal, also Yerry Mina not in the squad despite playing in the international break for Colombia. But like I say, really important tomorrow. There's no Digne, there's no Busquets through injury, but we don't want to be risking anybody at all in this lineup. And that does bring me on to my prediction for the team that Valverde will choose tomorrow. Now this isn't the team that I personally think he'll go with. I don't think it's going to happen. But Semedo's back in the squad, so you're going to hear it again, guys. Here we go. And so we have, in goal, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. At left back, there's not really a lot of variety. Lucas Digne is out with an injury. He suffered that on international duty. There's no real Barcelona B presence in left back. I thought maybe Cucurella would be given a chance, maybe even Miranda from Barcelona B, but no. Alba will be there. He's pretty much all on his own. He has to play this game. I would personally play Nelson Semedo at right back, and then Sergio Roberto in that midfield position. And yes, you're going to hear it from me again, guys. I'm not 100% sure it'll happen. Valverde doesn't really seem to want to go with it, but I think in this kind of game, a very big game, a difficult away stadium, you could get an awful lot out of Roberto in this kind of role. Number one, simply because Sergio Busquets isn't here, so Rakitic has to play this role. Roberto can help tremendously there with defensive cover. He's a really good defensive player. We know that he knows his positioning. We know that he knows where he needs to be on the pitch, and I think he could be vital in that kind of role. But it's not only that, you know, we know that Valverde really likes a 4-4-2, and if we want to meet maybe 4-4-2 while we're defending, you start with that front three of Suarez, Dembele and Coutinho, but when we're dropping back a bit, when Sevilla are in possession, Roberto can so easily switch to this right wing role, and both of these two on this side, we've seen it a few times this season, they're very good when playing together, they're incredibly solid, and it just allows you so much versatility, having Roberto in that midfield role and spreading himself across that midfield. He gives you so many options, and I think in a game this big, it's going to be a tough one. He can really help you out in that midfield, and Semedo can give you those legs to get up and down the right-hand side, give you that kind of ability and that pace and that real surge at right back to get you up the pitch, possibly hit them on the counter, and I think that could be really vital for this team. But in terms of Lionel Messi, I would personally leave him on the bench from the start of the game. Maybe bring him on if we really need to. But I would start with the same trio that started the game against Malaga when Messi wasn't available. That was Coutinho from the left, Suarez down the middle, Dembele from the right. And on that day, they played very well indeed. You know that Coutinho can score, he can create. Dembele, as weeks have gone by, he's looked more and more comfortable. He's got a great understanding with Luis Suarez, who's been in fantastic form. I think they can get the job done. At the very least, even if we avoided a defeat against Sevilla, got a draw, that wouldn't be the worst result in the world. I just think Messi, having missed those games with Argentina, clearly there is something wrong, maybe something very small, but even so, you don't want to risk him. And not only that, I think if he started this game, you'd get a lot of Argentinians on his back saying, well, he didn't play against Spain, and now he's starting for Barcelona. Simply because of the way that it looks, simply the way that Messi will want to hold himself ready for the World Cup. I think to avoid all those kind of arguments, maybe start him on the bench, be a bit cautious with him. If we need him, which we might do, you can bring him on. But I I just think these three in attack, Dembele, Suarez and Coutinho, they can get the job done. And they're very good players. You've got to give credit to them for that. They are top quality players. And against Sevilla, when we can get away with a draw, like I say, and Messi can keep himself on the bench and keep himself fit. So that would personally be my starting lineup for tomorrow's game. We might see players come off the bench like Paulinho, maybe Denis Suarez might get a few minutes. That would be really good to see. Maybe as a replacement for Iniesta, because obviously Iniesta, you don't want to be playing him too many minutes. Coutinho, though, should definitely start this game. He's ineligible for the Champions League under the ruling that you can't play for two clubs in the same season. But coincidentally, next season in the Champions League, that rule is being wiped clean. So if we'd have signed Coutinho next season under the same sort of circumstances, he would have been available to play in the Champions League, which is really, really disappointing in some ways. But we got the big game against Roma. We got to bear that in mind. We got a big game, of course, on Saturday. My prediction for the game against Sevilla will be Barcelona 2, Sevilla 1. It's going to be tight. It's going to be eagerly contested. If we start with Lionel Messi on the bench, it's going to be difficult, but I do think we can get through it. I don't want to risk anyone. I want to make sure that we arrive at that Roma game in good spirits, in good condition. That's the most important thing. Leave your thoughts and your predictions down below, guys. What do you think the score is going to be? What do you think the team is going to be tomorrow from Valverde? I will see you tomorrow for the big game. But until then, as always, Vasca El Barça!